Yeah, man!
Hello, my name is Miguel, and today I'm gonna make for you asparagus coconut stew. Alright, so you're gonna need some asparagus, fresh asparagus, a stalk of scallion, turnip, or a carrot, or you can use both. A small onion, 5 garlic cloves, 1 tablespoon parsley. You can use any of these herbs fresh. 1 tablespoon basil, sweet basil, dried sweet basil. A teaspoon of oregano, teaspoon of marjoram, teaspoon of grinded fine rosemary. This is dried pimento berries. 1/4 teaspoon of dried pimento berries. You can use peppercorn instead, or whole clove. You can use 1 or 2 or 3 of each. Visit JamaicanDinners.com for the recipe. 50-gram pack of coconut powder, a teaspoon of salt. I use sea salt. Tablespoon of wine vinegar, distilled white vinegar or apple cider. 1 between 2 tablespoons of cooking wine. Piece of Scotch bonnet pepper. You can use 1/4 teaspoon of shredded red pepper instead. 1/4 piece cut Scotch bonnet pepper, and we're going to use a cup of water. In other words, a cup of coconut milk, but we're using coconut milk powder. So we're going to mix it out in 1 cup of water. Alright, start by gathering herbs. Measure and add 1 tablespoon dried parsley, 1 tablespoon of dried basil, teaspoon of oregano, teaspoon marjoram, rosemary, teaspoon grinded fine rosemary. You can use any of these herbs fresh. Chop it fine though. We are just gathering the herbs for cooking. Put your herbs aside for later so that we can get this part going. Put to heat a big enough saucepan. Put the stove gauge on low, almost off low. Some people call it simmering. Add 4 tablespoons of cooking oil. I use coconut oil. This spoon that I'm holding holds about 1/4 cup, so about half of 1/4 cup of cooking oil. Add your spices. This is the dried pimento berries. Measure and add 1/4 teaspoon. You can use peppercorn instead. Measure and add about the same 1/4 teaspoon or a few pieces of the whole cloves. Add it to the heating oil. The stove gauge is on low, almost off low. By keeping the stove gauge on low, it reduces the risk of the berries bursting and hurting you. So allow berries to flavor the oil. And the objective here as well is when you're serving this meal, you don't have to worry about stopping to take out any berries. So this is a method. Place a teaspoon of salt amongst the spices. Then you put this aside for later. Now we're going to peel, cut, slice and dice scallion. Cut off ends. Remove dying leaf. Cut the root end off and the tip of the leaf that's dying. Peel garlic cloves. Cut off ends. Trim spoilage. This recipe will be in Vegan Dinners Cookbook. Peel onion. What I like to do is cut onion in half. It's easier to handle. Remove the brown leaf only. The first layer of the onion is the strongest. Only throw it away if it's spoiling. Carrot. Scrape the surface of the carrot clean. Add enough water in a bowl. Drizzle several drops of distilled white vinegar into it, and then wash asparagus clean. Once you do that, give the asparagus a final rinse with fresh water. It's best if you do this part under fresh running water. Throw this water off, it's kind of dirty. Can't wash anything else in this. And throw on some fresh water. Sprinkle several drops of distilled white vinegar into the water. And wash scallion's leaf clean. Give it a final rinse under fresh running water. Wash the turnip skin clean. Give it a final rinse under fresh running water. It's best if you do this part under fresh running water. Now, peel turnip. Peel turnip thin to the skin. What I mean by that is peel it thin. You don't want to peel it thick and waste most of the turnip. So you just want to peel off the skin. Now, cut turnip in biteable chunks. So about the inch pieces of chunks. Or if you want to say, cut it in cubes. Cut carrot sticks or carrot wheel. This is carrot wheels. Keep the turnip separate from the carrot. This is our washed asparagus. Cover it and put it aside for later. Now, dice scallion fine. Do what I'm doing. Dice scallion. Keep ingredients separate. Oh yes, before I forget, you can use chive instead of scallion. Now, slice or dice onion. And you can use any type of onion. For this recipe, you can cut the asparagus in small little pieces, asparagus wheels. But I'm just going to cut a few of them. I want asparagus to show in the meal. Next, grind garlic to puree. Remember now, keep your ingredients separate. Alright, this is what you want. Put your vegetables aside for later. Coconut milk time now. Measure a cup of water. Alright, you can buy coconut milk in a can, or you can buy coconut milk powder. Add your coconut milk powder into the water. Mix it smooth. Mix the coconut powder with the water. Now we have coconut milk. Put this aside for cooking. It's been a good between 10 minutes. This is how low you want the stove flame to be on, almost off low. Alright, that's it. We're finished. Turn the stove off. Use a cooking spoon with a filter, or they call this spoon an oil filter, and remove berries, the spices from the eating oil. It's flavored enough now. So this oil right here is flavored with spices. That way when you eat, you don't have to worry about taking out the spices from the meal. You can just eat straight. So once you do that, turn the stove back on. Put the stove's gauge on 4, medium low. Few seconds after that, because the oil should be hot enough in some sense. Add the chopped, sliced or diced onions. Stir it in a few times. Allow it to saute light golden brown on the edges. After 40 seconds between a minute, add diced scallion. Stir it in, stir it in. Allow it to saute, giving additional flavors not in a bottle. After 40 seconds between a minute, add mashed garlic. Stir it in, stir it in. Allow it to saute. After 40 seconds to a minute, 3 minutes now since we started adding the seasonings, mixing the coconut milk powder properly. Add your coconut milk into the saucepan. After that, add your herbs, salt, and the pepper. Pepper is optional, you don't have to, but it's okay because it's not going to be spicy, it's just for flavoring. Right after that, add diced turnip. Stir it in, stir it in. Keep the pepper on top where you can watch it. Alright, once you do that, the stove's gauge is on 4, medium low. That's what you want. We're not going to add lid. Keep the saucepan lid off and allow. Add tablespoon white vinegar. You can use apple cider instead or distilled white vinegar. Measure and add 1 between 2 tablespoons of cooking wine. You can use any type of cooking wine. Some of these cooking wine flavors, gin, vodka, all sorts of different things. So that was 1 between 2 tablespoons of cooking wine. That was really 2 tablespoons. Allow. After 5 minutes, this is what it looks like. The lid been off all this time. Now would be a good time to remove the pepper. Stir your coconut stew in. We're on the right track. Allow. 10 minutes now. And this is what it looks like. It's getting creamy and creamier. This is what you want. By keeping the lid off, the water will evaporate. The turnip is a little bit tough, but that's what you want. You don't want it to cook too much too. It's just cook enough. It's cook enough. Add your diced asparagus or your asparagus wheels. Add the carrot wheels or carrot sticks. Now would be a good time to turn the stove up, maybe on 6. That's high. And just let it make this coconut stew creamy more. Now would be a good time to add the asparagus if you want to cook it, but you don't have to cook the asparagus. Once the stew starts sticking to the pot's bottom, that's a sign to say it's ready. The objective here is but you want the coconut stew to be thick and creamy. This is what you want. This is a very powerful meal. And it's filling. All of these vegan recipes are filling. So this is what you want. The asparagus change color a little. See the difference? In the cookbook, I recommend different ways that you can cook the same recipe for different dinner ideas. Like for instance, you can use broccoli, you can use spring beans, some people call it green beans. Alright, you see the stew sticking to the pot's bottom when I stir it somewhat? That's what you want. That's it. Finished. Put the lid on until serving. Let's take a scoop of this lovely asparagus coconut stew and pour it on a plate or into a bowl. You can heat this meal by itself. So for presentation purpose, I'll just place a couple of these fresh asparagus on top of this coconut stew, this turnip coconut stew, and this is the way you will serve it. This is asparagus coconut stew. Visit JamaicanDinners.com for the recipe. Subscribe, like, and share. You must try cooking this meal yourself. Give us feedback when you do. This is asparagus coconut stew. Asparagus coconut stew. This meal looks delicious, doesn't it? Look at that. Alright, so I'm having it today with spaghetti. Like I said, you can have this meal with crackers, with lettuce salad, rice, rolls, etc. Alright, so it's creamy and delicious. This is a unique meal indeed. A true vegan dinners recipe. A true vegan dinner. It's nice, spicy, green, deliciously creamy. Asparagus coconut stew. If you know you will not like the green taste, all you do is dice the asparagus fine and put it in the stew. You won't taste the green flavor. If you do that, you won't taste the green flavor. This whole blend has an interestingly good flavor. This asparagus coconut stew is a strong and powerful meal. Cooking wine gives this asparagus coconut stew life. It is awesome, truly. You should try it. And get my book, Vegan Dinners. The title is Vegan Dinners. Take time out, leave a comment, and give me a 5-star. Only because I deserve it. The turnip mixed with the herbs give this meal character. For this recipe, I'll recommend at least 5 different dinner ideas for the same recipe. In the cookbook, I will mention 5 different dinner ideas for the same recipe. Alright guys, until next time, bye.
Yeah man!